everybody, Captain Pluff here with a Fiethsing turbo deck list. So this is my Force of Will deck. I've been working on it for a few weeks now. I have tried out several different variants, from green-red with Priscia Pursuant of Exploding Flame to just green-white using, just Guiver, and I've landed on green-white-blue, and I've really been liking the deck list I've built. It's a little bit more mid-range, and by that I mean it's like one turn, later to pretty much combo off than most Fiethsing turbo decks, because I don't really run a ton of Regalia. In fact, I only run one, so that's, the biggest difference between this and a lot of the versions I've seen. Also, I'm not playing red with Guinevere and Drag. So, I have loved this deck since I bought it, the starter deck, and I love the rulers. So this is Fiethsing, 6 Ages of Wind. Her Judgment is 3. She has Green Energize, which is amazingly good. Just Green Will is really strong to have even one more of. And then her ability is whenever you play your second card each turn, put a 1/1 Elf Wind Resonator token onto your battlefield. So that would be something like these. I made this, it's really crappy, I know, I don't care, and then I just use these Magic the Gathering ones. I ignore the mana ability, obviously, but they're 1/1, so it just represents 100/100. So she gives you tokens every time you play your second card a turn. Oh, gee, that counts as Resonators. Oh, I wonder what shenanigans we can do with that. So her flip side is Fiethsing, Master Magus of Holy Wind. She's an 8/8. Other elves you control gain 4/4, which can really help late game if you've made a bunch of tokens and you have mana dorks. Can help you to really swing for game. But she has, whenever you play your second card each turn, and it's each turn, by the way, your opponent's turn counts, you put 2 1/1 Wind Elf Resonator tokens into your field. So it's a really good ability, but the thing is, you're never really going to flip her unless you have nothing else to do, or you just can swing for game if you give all your elves that pump. Normally, you're just using this side to get that one token to make some really awesome plays. So, for my stones, I am running 4 Deepwood, green-blue, 4 Gusting Skies for green-white, and then 2 regular Windstones because you need green turn 1. You need green turn 1. There's very rarely will you ever want to play not something on turn 1 because I run 12 1-drop Resonators. It's really ridiculous. Some people say that's too many, but the way that I play this deck, it's just right. So, this is my Resonators. There's a lot of them. In fact, red Resonators compared to everything else, it's a definitely Resonator-heavy deck. So, to start that off, we have 4 Sacred Elves. It's a mana dork. It taps for 1 green. 1 wind, whatever. I play Magic too, so it's 1 green. It's really, really good. Just that extra will is super awesome. Then I run 4 Tama, Familiar of Holy Wind. When it enters your field, you do draw a card. And then you can also banish it to deal 200 damage to target Resonator. It's a 2/2. This just gets you into another card, but you can also kill off the next Resonator to get you some bonus if you desperately need to, which would be Alice's Little Scout. So this card is a 2/2 as well for 1 blue. So if you have the blue turn 1, you could cast this, but honestly you'd be better off playing Sacred Elf. But when it dies, when it goes to the graveyard from the field, you draw a card. This is really good with another card in the deck. Actually, it's like the best play you can do is eat this in a token or a Tama with the next card. It's not the next card. It's the one after that, but I'll show you in a sec. My next card, however, is an expensive one. It's Melfi of Heavenly Wind. I guess Sorceress of Heavenly Wind, Melfi. She's a 3/6 for 2 with Quick Cast. If she's your second card that you cast this turn, you can prevent all damage dealt by target J Resonator this turn. If you play 2 or more cards this turn, she counts as your second. It does say 2, but there's an errata that is by. That's why the card jumped up in price one day. I bought these actually a day before that off somebody for like the $3 or $4 each, and then it jumped up the next day. So I'm kind of glad I got them before that. Because you need this card for this deck, because it also can tap to produce any will, so it can fix your white and your blue if you need it. As can this next card, a little bit. This next card is what makes the deck tick, and it is Adam Brawley, the Unfathomable. I hope that's how I'm pronouncing him right. Adam Brawley, I don't know. I call him Adam Brawley. But he's amazing. He has the Incarnate ability. You can eat 2 Resonators, And if they're for each other color, you get an ability. Now, if they're different colors, you get both abilities. If you eat, let's say, 2 wind, you only get the wind ability once. But if you eat a token in Alice's Little Scout, oh good. Oh god, I mean. So, for white, you gain 400 life, which I do play Gwyber, so you can eat that. I don't really use that often. In fact, I don't think I've ever used it, but you could in a pinch if you need the life. Red, you deal 400 damage to target one Resonator, which I don't do because I don't have red. Blue is draw a card. Green is produce 1 will of any of the colors. And then black is your opponent loses 400 life. So the effects go from top down. So if you do the white and the blue, you get 400 life and then draw a card. But if you do the blue and the green, which is more common, first you draw a card and then you produce any color. So if you eat Alice's Little Scout first, and let's say a token, first you draw a card off Alice's Little Scout, then you draw a card off of him, and then you get to choose what will of color you want. So you can draw your 2 cards and then see what you got and decide what you want after that. It's super good. This card makes the deck go. Then I have the big cards. These are what kills your opponent. This is what makes you win. So first, I have 2 Titania, the Prideful Queen. She is a 12/12 flyer that you can tap as many Resonators as you want. You can rest them to pay 2 colorless less for her, or 2 void. So she costs 1 blue if you rest 3 Resonators, and it's because it's her ability, they could have come in that turn. So if you get a token and an Adam Brawley and like a Tama or something, they came in all that turn, you can tap them all and 1 blue to play her. And she pumps other fairies and water Resonators you control by 2/2. Which pumps Adam Brawley. So this would become an 8/10, which is pretty dang big for something that casts for 1. Speaking of casting things for 1, the king of 1 is Gwyber, the White Dragon. You just need to play him. You get like 1 creature and a Tama, or a token. So if you play like Tama or Alice's Little Scout and get a token, this costs 1 white. You get a 12/12 flyer for 1 white. And his cost is easier to do than Titania's. She's just a bit better in the slightly later game, turn 4 or 5 when you've got the Resonators on the field. And especially if they come in that turn, she takes advantage of being able to rest useless Resonators. He takes advantage of, oh, you got a couple, you get him. So he's so quick to play. You can play him turn 1 if you get a Regalia, and if you go second. So using your Energize. So everybody plays him. Everybody knows what Gwyber does in this deck. It's dumb. But then the card that makes this a little more mid-range. And some people I've seen don't even play it, or if they do, it's at like 1 or 2. But I play 3 Captain Hooks. I love this card. It's my favorite card in Curse of the Frozen Casket. It's probably my favorite card, actually. I love this card. Well, it's one of my favorite cards. It's 1,000,000, that for 5, 2 blue, so you use Melfi to fix for that if you don't have the 2 blue from your stones. Or a different card in this deck, actually the next card after him. When this card enters your field, you can choose one, put up to 2 target special stones, or 2 target Resonators, and you either put the Resonators to the hand or the Magic Stones on top of their deck in any order. I think it says in any order. Yep, in any order, so you choose. So you can use this to, if you drop him turn 3 and you went first and your opponent only has 2 stones, you can drop this and bounce both those stones, and now they're set back to 1 mana instead of 3 on their 3rd turn. That is game-changing. If you can get this guy early enough, you can just win game. He's not as useful late game. Like, he's still useful to bounce some deadly Resonators. But early game, this card steals wins for you. It's so, so good. Now for spells. Or chants, I guess. So I'm playing the card Rewriting Laws, and I'm playing 3 of it. What is this spell? If you don't, anybody who doesn't know what this card does, may ask. If you know this deck, you know this card. Probably. But this card's pretty much, I draw a card and it's nothing. And also my mana's fixed. So this card is amazing. So I'll actually bring this one up. So your Magic Stones now tap for anything. You can recover 2 Magic Stones you control up to, and then you draw a card. So if you only have 1 stone to recover, then you only untap that. But you can actually rest 1 in response to that and then untap 2. So you can have a will floating. And then you draw a card. So it literally replaces itself. It's literally just, okay, your mana taps for anything, it replaces itself, and it costs nothing because you untap the stones you used to cast it. Super, super good card. It's good really in a lot of green decks, just even if you want it for a cantrip, just to freely keep drawing through your deck, to pretty much have 4 free cards, so you only have 36. But with her ability of getting you a token, it's just a free card that now your next card gets you a token, no matter what the card is. This card is amazing, and it fixes your color, so it fixes for Hook and Gwyber. Then I'm running 2 Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic in the main board. Quick Cast Remnant, turn something into a bear. There's nothing more to say about it. My next card is 4 Seal of Wind and Light. This is a slightly more mid-range build, and by that I mean 1 or 2 turns a little bit slower than the other versions that I've seen, depending on how you play it especially, but the card's just too good not to play. You can counter something, and you're always going to have Will open, or you should. You might tap down on a couple turns, but you know, into the mid-game, you're going to have these open to be able to just stop your opponent from ruining your day. So, 4 of those. Then I run 2 Wind-Secluded Refuges. I love this card. It enters and draws you a card, and whenever an ability an opponent controls targets a J Resonator you control, you may banish it and cancel that spell or ability. So they target you with anything, and you can say, ha, no. Mikage deals 100 damage. Sure, I Demon Flame it. No. Then I run 1 Regalia and a Torn of the Sacred Beast because it puts all your stuff back in the deck. Simple as that. So for the sideboard, this sideboard is not 100% complete. There's specifically 4 cards that I really am not sure about. I'm just kind of playing them as what-ifs. Most of the sideboard is decided, but I'm running 3 Vampire Hunter Christie's, 4 for 1,000,000, so it's really strong. When it enters, if it's your second card, so pretty much if you play 2 or more this turn, it can fight something. And if your ruler's Fiethsing, you can pay a green to pump it, and you can do that on the stack of it fighting. So it's really good. It's removal on a stick. So if Hook's not doing it for you, or let's say they're able to kill flyers really easily, and you need more enter the battlefield abilities instead of like Titania and Glibers, you run this to blow up their resonators. You know, to fight them and kill them. So it's a really good card. But I don't really know how I like it in the deck. I was running it for a while, but I decided Titania is a little bit better because I was running 2 and 1 on the sideboard. But yeah, it's not a bad card at all. I just don't know if it really needs a place in the main board. Then I'm running 1 Hook. 1 more Hook just in case. You know, it's Hook. I love the card. Then the next card, if you're running Fiethsing, you pretty much need this in the deck. It's Shackles of Ice. It shuts down Mikage, stops any ruler's abilities. Yours doesn't have one because it's not an activated ability. Shuts down. It shuts down 0. It shuts down a lot, but mainly Mikage because Mikage counters this deck. So you pretty much need this card in the sideboard, and by that I mean you need it. If you go against a deck that can kill your Resonators, you're done. You're just done. Then I run 2 Heavenly Gusts. You know, if you cast it, it's got the Torn ability, so if you cast it as your second card, it destroys all additions in Regalia your opponent controls. It could also just be used to destroy 1, but if you can get that ability and blow up somebody who's playing a lot of Regalia, oh boy. Because actually, the mirror match, a lot of people do run Regalia, so I just choose not to. Then I have 1 more Water Magic. Love this card, just sometimes you need the 3rd one. Enough said about that. 1 more Wind-Secluded Refuge, because again, sometimes you're playing something like Mikage or just a control deck that likes to target your Resonators, so you need to stop them from doing so. Or even a burn deck. The last 4 cards again are ones that could come out. 2 Form into the World Trees. So this allows you to it's for 2 green, lets you put as many cards you want from your hand to the bottom of your deck, draw that many +1. So it replaces itself and filters your hand, because sometimes you get, you know, Glibers and Hooks and Titanias in there and you don't want them. And it's better though if you can have this to shuffle them back in, that way they're not just stuck on the bottom. But then you gain 800, so it's kind of good against burn, good if you're finding that your hand is really not being nice to you, that you just keep drawing into either all your small stuff or all your big stuff. So it's just kind of in there. And then this card's a little weird. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a little weird that I'm running it, but I put it in here for the possibility of facing the mirror match because you can swing with everything and then you can make everybody only have 1 Resonator. Interdimensional Escape. It's a little greedy with 2 white, so I'm not really sure. I haven't tried it yet because nobody else plays as fast of a deck as this. Maybe Machina, actually, could be really good. But each player chooses a Resonator they control, and then they each banish all of the Resonators they control. So it does stop your deck, but if you're running a little bit more on playing the higher creatures and then don't really care about everything else, because they just kind of help you get into it, this actually isn't the worst card ever. And against some decks that are just they have more board presence than you and they just overwhelm you game 1, you could play this and get rid of their board turn 2. But again, it's just those last 2, Form into the World Tree and Interdimensional Escape, I'm more testing out. I haven't actually faced any decks that I've really needed them against. The deck's actually pretty strong as it is, and my locals isn't too big, so again, I really haven't had as much experience with some decks. Like I've never faced Tree, never faced Yggdrasil, so it's definitely a deck. Take it with a big grain of salt. because it's, you know, it's not been tested against everything. But I do like my build. So yeah, that was my Fiethsing deck. Super Bay. I love this deck. I love this ruler. It's the first really good deck I've ever had, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, into refining my own personal build, because like I said, I've tried a bunch of different variants. Green, red, green, white, and I've settled on green, white, blue. Red can stay away from this because I honestly don't really care for it. I just like playing it the way I play it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any criticisms or, you know, any ideas for the deck, or if you liked it, let me know in the comments or onto the Force Wolf US Facebook page that I'm going to be posting this to, because somebody asked me for it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you later. Maybe, possibly, I hope. Bye!